Hey guys, Okame Gaming here, coming at you with another fun video. I thought this time around, after our fun box openings, I would do a deck tech of our new favorite ninja hero, Fi. I know it's in the middle of the Road to National season, but I wanted to make sure I got a few playtest games in before I made this video for you guys on my opinion on the deck and what I think is good and what I think is not as good, and how to play certain matchups. And for one thing, I will have this posted publicly, and I will have a link to the deck list in the description so you can check it out whenever you want. But please stick around and listen to what I have to say about this. So let's get started. So for equipment for Fi, I like to run Searing Emberblade because it helps with our Draconic Chain Links. Because we want to, with this build, get to 4 Draconic Chain Link almost every turn. And we're going to be running Tunic, so then every 3 turns it can help us with our extenders. So it's just a very good card and can help us block when we need to block. And then we're going to be running Mask of Momentum, and we're running this because it threatens more extensions of drawing cards, which is very good in this deck. When you get that extra draw, it can end games. It's very, very powerful. And then we're going to be running Snapdragons as the core leg equipment. Usually these won't come up very often. There's so much go again in the deck, but these are our best options right now. But I'll get more into on why they're good later on in the video, because there are a few cards that are situational go again that this can really help a turn that you need the go again. And then for our last main equipment, we're going to be running Tiger Stripe Shuco. I personally have chosen Tiger Stripe Shuco as my equipment because it gives us +1 damage about every single turn. Usually we'll be trying to attack with 2 Phoenix Flames a turn with this build, which is usually what we want to do. And throughout the game, it should add on around 8 points of damage on its own, unless you have to block with it early from a really big attack. And that's the second reason why I'm running it, is because it blocks for 2, which is really very nice. And then for sideboard equipment, we're going to be running Null Rune Gloves and Tide Flippers. And that's just going to be for our matchups where we just really need the Arcane Barrier. Even though we want to kill them fast with this deck, we may still need to block a couple attacks. Alright, so let's head into the main deck here. I'm going to separate the main deck by the side deck. And for the main board, we're running 3 Belittles with 1 Blue Minnowism package. And we're doing this to help out our hands that we don't draw one of our very few blues, because we don't run many blues in this deck. To go back, we're running 54 reds and 16 blues in total. So that's not a lot of blues. And 3 of the blues are actually in the sideboard. So we're really only main decking 13 blues, so these Belittles help out a lot. It really makes it more like 16 blues when we're running the Belittles. So it helps us, because it just lets us immediately search for it. And then for that, then we're going to be running Blaze Headlongs, which is an amazing 0 for 4 go again, which is everything we want to be doing with this deck. Usually on a really good turn, we'll lead with a Belittle, grab our Minnowism, and then we can attack for 4 with a Headlong, and then attack for 3 with our weapon, and then we can pay 1 to attack with something else if we need to, or pay 0, and then get a Phoenix Flame out. It's just a huge extender, pushes that breakpoint of 4, which is really good with Mask of Momentum. So this card is a must include. I would never cut this. And then I run 6 Brand with Cinderclaw. This synergizes very well with my Belittles and Double Strikes. Turning them into Draconic is a very, very good thing to have happen. It can push that 3rd Draconic Chain Link where maybe you don't have the blue in hand, maybe you just have a yellow and you had to use your yellow to Emberblade, and then the Brand with Double Strike and Emberblade is 3 to be able to activate your Fi hero power. So it's very, very nice card. And then the reds are just good. They're just 0 for 3. And then, as we were previously talking about, we're running Double Strikes. This card I have found very good with this build because we're running Tiger Stripe Shuco. So Double Strike on its own is actually a 0 for 3 go again, realistically, with Tiger Stripe. Because you'll attack for 1 and then attack for 2, which is really good, and it helps us get to that Chain Link 4, which we really need to get to in this deck to be able to trigger stuff like Lava Burst. All around, just a great card. It pushes more attacks to trigger Mask. It's more awkward attacks they have to block, and we like to make them have to do that. And then I'm just running 2 Flame Call Awakenings. I decided not to run the third because it does cost 1 and only blocks for 2. And I found many occasions where I've drawn my Phoenix Flames before the Awakenings, which sometimes it's okay, but obviously we want to see our Awakenings to find our Phoenix Flames and thin out our deck. So late game, I'd rather only see one of these, not both. And I've just found way better success running 2 instead of 3. And then we're going to be running 3 Lava Bursts. It's really good at the end of the Chain Link for us to be able to pay 0 for 5 damage. It is very powerful. And then it's another Synergize with Shuco. Very nice if you know they're running Oasis Respites and you think they might be holding one. You can do your whole, like, let's say you draw Double Strike, Blaze Headlong, Lava Burst. Just those 3 cards alone, that's you Double Strike, Headlong, that's Chain Link 3, and then you're going to Lava Burst for 5. So just 3 cards alone right there is 12 damage just for 3 cards, and that's not including being able to get a Phoenix Flame back if you have the resources to Ember Blade or anything like that. It's just very, very strong card. And then we're going to be moving on to Lava Vane Loyalty. I like this card a lot. It's a great 0 for 3 go again as long as you have 2 or more Draconic Chain Links. Usually the reds are what you want to play. You're mostly going to be pitching and blocking with the blues because it's only 1 go again. But they do block for 3, which is very big. There's not a lot of cards in this deck that block for 3. So that's why I'm running this over running a blue of another card we'll be coming up to. And then we got our 3 Phoenix Flames. We have to run these. They are necessary to this hero. Everything he does involves Phoenix Flame. And it is just super good. It makes it so fatigue decks can't fatigue you because you're just pushing so many breakpoints. They can't just block one the whole time. And it's just really hard to deal with them. Like, there's not many ways to deal with graveyards in this game. So it's going to be very, very tough to deal with them. And they synergize, again, very well with Tiger Stripe Shuco because they are 2 or less attacks. So they will be triggering that +1 off of Tiger Stripe, which is very nice. And then another attack that comes in for 1 is we're running 3 Inflames. These are very nice because they can bring back Phoenix Flames, which can extend our Chain Link, which is really good for the deck. And it pushes another breakpoint of them having to block 1 damage. There's a lot of things they need to block that only come in for 1. So, like, triggering Mask is very, very easy in this deck, and they usually have to block a 1 attack to stop it. And that feels bad if their only block is a 3 block in hand, and they're only blocking 1 damage to prevent your draw card. And they still take a bunch of damage for the turn either way. Now here's one of the big cards of the deck. So we're running 3 Phoenix Swarms. This is what we're really trying to set up with the deck. So this is a 0 for 3. If we have one of these Phoenix Flames on the Chain Link, it gains go again. If we have 2, it gets +2 attack, so it makes it a 5 attack. But if we get all 3 out, like let's say we let's say we lead with a Brand with Cinderclaw, pitch a blue, play Flame Call Awakening, search for a Phoenix Flame, play an Inflame, get a Phoenix Flame back, attack with Phoenix Flame, attack with Phoenix Flame, activate Phi for a 3rd Phoenix Flame that's already in our yard because we're really lucky at the game. Then we're going to attack for 5, go again, on hit, draw 3 cards. That is huge. Granted, it has to hit a hero, so you can't cheese Dromize. You have to actually hit them. but once you are at chain link like 6, they probably only have 1 or 2 cards left in hand. They have to block with those 2 cards or you're gonna just murder them. There's no way that they can let that hit. Drawing 3 cards in a deck like this is way too strong. So that's the main card we really want to get off in this deck and threaten damage with. And it's still very good if we just get 2 Phoenix Flames out, which is super easy with Flame Call Awakenings and Inflames and Rise from the Ashes, which we'll get to shortly. It is just so strong. A 0 for 5 go again. And then our next 0 cost, there's a lot of 0 costs in this deck, by the way. Our next 0 cost attack, we're running 6 Rising Resentments, 3 reds, 3 blues. I chose to have this card as another one of my blues I run because it's on hit, lets you banish an attack from hand with cost less than the amount of Draconic Chain Links I control, and make it cost 1 less to play this turn. So it's really nice because if I lead with a, let's say we lead with a Ronin Renegade, 0 for 3, go again. And then we Rising Resentment for even the blue, let's say 1, go again. They're probably not going to block that 1, and then you're going to get that on hit trigger. And if you have something like a Take Tempo in hand, or a Spreading Flames, or even a Flame Call Awakening, you can just banish that and play it for free, which is very nice. Playing cards for free, especially in decks like this, can be huge because there's not a lot of resources in the deck. Hence why there's so many 0 drops. And it's a Rising Resentment is a very good way to get around Frostbites, because you can play Rising Resentment, banish a 0 cost from hand, and let's say you're playing against Icelander and they took the hit, you can, if they gave you a Frostbite when you attacked with it, then if it's a 0 cost in hand and you just have 1 Frostbite, this reduces the cost of the Frostbite, which is really good. So it makes your 0 still 0 and get around the Frostbite that was given to you. Very nice little tech option for anything Frostbitey. Alright, and then we got Ronin Renegade. This is the one that I chose not to go with blues, because the blue is just a 0 for 1 go again that only blocks for 2. So Lava Vane Loyalty is just better because it blocks for 3, which matters a lot with this deck because this deck really struggles with blocking. So any 3 blocks we can get are very nice to have. But besides that, it's just a 0 for 3, go again, which is a lot of this deck. It doesn't have an on hit, but it's just another one for us to get extended into our chain link and not have to worry about resources to do it, which is really nice. And then another big card of the deck that we're running is Spreading Flames. So this is a 1 for 3, go again, that every Draconic attack has +1, while its base attack is less than the number of Draconic Chain Links I control. So this is really good on our big Tome or Art of War turns, because we get this out and we're probably attacking with 5 or 6 attacks that turn that are all going to be Draconic for the most part. So all of our Phoenix Flames are going to have +1 from Spreading Flames. So those are all going to be a minimum of 2. After we get to Chain Link 3, then our Lava Veins, our Resentments, our Phoenix Forms, everything's going to get +1. So if we're attacking 5 or 6 times in a turn, this can add around 4 to 5 damage to our chain. So it's essentially a 1 for 7 to 8 damage, which is really, really strong. It's just so much damage on a combo turn. And even on a mediocre turn, it usually can buff 2 cards on just a medium turn, which is still good because that's 2 extra damage just for 1. Very, very solid card. And then the next card we're going to go into is Rise from the Ashes. I really love this card. This card lets us get our Phoenix Flames back to hand and buffs our next attack. So the reds will buff our attack by 3, so we can return a Phoenix Flame and then attack with like Ronin Renegade for 6 go again, and then for our start of our turn. And we still have just as many cards in hand because it replaces itself with a Phoenix Flame. And then the blues are just really nice to pitch, and then if you need that Phoenix Flame extension, they still are there to do that, but they only get +1, which is fine. It's still good because it pushes that breakpoint of 4 on our 0 for 3s, which is really nice to have around. Alright, another fun card of the deck that we're running is Take the Tempo. I decided to run these instead of another card that does it similar called Engulfing Flame Wave. And I chose this because this is cheaper. It only costs 1 to play instead of 2, which I really like. And essentially this is just to set you up for next turn or extend your current turn. This is going to be one of our Snapdragon targets because it does not have Go Again. But we can give it Go Again, which is nice. But just ending the turn with this, just 1 for 5 on hit, we banish our top card, which most of the cards in our deck are attacks. You can whiff off of it, which would really be sad, but it is very, very possible to hit an attack off the top, and then you get to play it until the end of your next turn. So you can just set it up for a 5-card hand next turn, essentially, which is really, really strong. And speaking about 5-card hands, every time we draw an Art of War, we want to arsenal these. This card is so good in this deck. If we can arsenal this and then wait for our Tunic to get to 3, and then we'll use our Tunic, Art of War, draw 2, and +1/+1, it is such a huge turn because we have a 5-card hand, everything's +1/+1. We can Art of War, do that. We can banish, like, if we have 2 blues in hand, we can get rid of blue to draw the 2, hopefully draw some reds, and then everything's going to be coming for at least 4 Go Again, and every single red card will be. And then on those turns, if we can get Spreading Flames off too, it's just even bigger because Spreading Flames only counts base attack, so all the buffs are fine. Card is just very good. Any of you have tried out Art of War, I think you will love it in this deck. It is just so strong. And then we already talked about the 1 Minnowism. I only run 1. There's an argument to run more than 1, but I've been liking just the 1 because I felt like it's clunky otherwise. Every other blue card in the deck does something. This is the 1 card that does not. So this is the 1 card I'll never play as a blue, so it's only there for pitching. The only issue is you can't really block with it because I only run 1. Obviously you can, but only do that when you're very, very desperate. Alright, now back to big turns. Just like Art of War, this card is amazing, Tome of Firebrand. I very much love this card. It is very easy to get to Draconic Chain Link 4 as long as your opponent doesn't disrupt you too hard. And if you have this in Arsenal, your opponent's going to be relieved. They're going to have like 3 cards in hand and be like, alright, they're done with their onslaught. And then you're going to play a Tome, draw a couple cards, and come at them for 6 more damage at the minimum. And they're going to be like, what just happened? And if you can get a Tome off with an Art of War turn, it is just so much damage that you will get off, man. So much damage. So, Tomes are just amazing. And these are another card like Art of War. You're probably going to want to Arsenal it. Obviously, if you draw it and have an Arsenal, you can get it off. But usually you want it to be your 5th card. Usually you don't want to play it off of mediocre turns. Like, if you're just ending your turn with a Lava Burst, if your opponent blocked out and has no cards left, then you're going to want to give Lava Burst Go Again and Tome. But if your opponent didn't block much and let's say you can just tell that your Tome's not going to do much damage, it's not always worth playing. You just kind of got to pick and choose your battles with it. But usually you want to Arsenal it and then play it. You don't really want to just play it outright. Make sure you're going to play it on a turn you're going to do damage. Alright, well, that sums it up for the main deck. So the main deck is 5 equipment. So it's a 61 card main deck because you do take 1 Phoenix Flame out, so it still is 60 technically. You could cut 1 card down, but I really like running the 61. I don't think you should cut any card here out of the main deck, except during when you have to sideboard, obviously, depending on the matchups. But that's about it for the main deck. Let's get into the sideboard now. So for sideboard pieces, we're running Command and Conquers and Erase Faces. These are just amazing 2-drops. Command and Conquer. Anybody who has been playing this game for a while knows how powerful this card is. You have to run this. It stomps on Rangers. It is super good against traditional Guardians. It's just such a good card. Just being able to pay 2 to attack for 6 and destroy an arsenal unless they block it out. It's just so strong. Must run, must run. And then running the new card, Erase Face. I have been loving this card. This card is huge in the mirror match against any hero that cares about fusing. Just pretty much every hero this could come in against. It's just specific heroes. You don't really need it, like traditional Guardians. They don't really have much that Erase Face affects. But being able to get rid of all talents until the turn is just huge. Like, when this gets played against you, it sucks for you because it makes everything not Draconic anymore, which messes up your entire chain link. Then we're running Nullring Gloves and Tide Flippers for Arcane Barrier. Those are going to be in just for the Icelander and Kano matchup, because Kano will just one-shot you if you don't respect him and run the Arcane Barrier. And I feel like I run enough blues in here that you can run it and you will be fine. And we're running another new card, 3 Thaws. This card has been amazing. You bring this in against every single ice hero. And on turns where they just give you 1 Frostbite and pass, or like let's say an Oldhim attacks you with a Winter's Wail and you just take 4 and get a Frostbite. If this is in your yard, you just banish it and pretend that Frostbite's not there and you proceed with your turn. And you still get just as much damage off and get rid of that disruption. It's just an amazing card. I love that they printed it for this hero. It just helps so much because it's so tough dealing with Frostbites. And then a little bit of a niche tech that I've been really liking is I'm running 3 This Rounds on Me. This is essentially just for the mirror match, or if you randomly play against a Katsu, it's good against him as well. This is just nice because if you're having an off turn, you can play this card, attack him for a few points of damage, and it's going to make their turn very weak. Just making it so like in the mirror match, all their Phoenix Flames attack for 0, and any of their blue attacks attack for 0. It's going to be very easy for you to be fine. So I very much like this card a lot. Alright, well that sums it up for the main deck. So for cards to run, I do have a few honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about. So I chose not to run Mask of the Pouncing Lynx or Stubby Hammers. These are 2 very popular cards for Fi builds. My reasoning not to is I chose not to run the Lynx because I decided I like the consistency mid-range playstyle more for Fi versus the complete only combo. Lynx is very good if your plan is to just end your turn with a Lava Burst almost every turn. Lynx makes sure that you can search up that Lava Burst and play it. So Lynx is very strong, but I just chose to not go only combo. I liked a little more consistency. And then Stubby Hammers, I decided against it over Tiger Stripe. I do not think this card is bad. I think this card is super good. But I personally, for my playstyle, like Tiger Stripes because it allows me to block 2, which is really big. Just being able to block that crush on a Spinal Crush with blocking with just 1 card from hand and 2 equipment, it's just way more worth it to me than 1 turn of more damage. I feel like my build does enough damage that I don't need the +4, +5 from Stubby Hammers. And yeah, I just personally like Tiger Stripe Shuco more. This card is very amazing. If you can't afford a Tiger Stripe Shuco or a Mask of Momentum, I highly recommend pick up these 2 cards. The Pouncing Lynx is super cheap. Stubby Hammer is just common. So if you can't afford a Mask of Momentum because it has skyrocketed in price, or Tiger Stripes because it's a new legendary, definitely run these 2 instead. These are very good replacements. They'll still work with my build just fine. My playstyle, I like the other 2 more. And then back on that, if you decide to run these, I do recommend you run some uprisings. I chose not to put them in because I wasn't going full combo like this. I decided I liked the Art of War Spreading Flames package instead. I just felt like I didn't need the uprisings. And then if you're going Stubby Hammers build, you should run Salt the Wound, because Salt the Wound is an amazing card with Stubby Hammers. You end your turn with Salt the Wound. Most likely you had a few Phoenix Flames hit. Salt the Wound's probably going to get +5 damage and come in for 7. It's like another Lava Burst, and you can search for it off a mask, which is really good. And then Ancestral Empowerments are another honorable mention of mine. I tried them out a little bit in my build. I didn't like them, but I feel like they have a home somewhere, because it's just a 0 for +1 draw card. It doesn't add to your chain link, sadly. Like, it doesn't add to your Draconic chain link, but it does let you filter cards and help you trigger those mask triggers. So I do think there is a home for this card. It's just not in my build. But that is about it for every card I think you should run in here. And yeah, I hope this helps anybody out that is trying to run Fi at a Road to Nationals or something. And if you are, from my comments about different decks, I put everything down on here, a whole sideboard tech and everything. So please check this out on FabDB, use it to help you out, try out my build, leave any comments you want. I am open to suggestions on anything, but I think this is a great place to start for anybody who wants to main Fi. I really, really enjoy this build, and I think it is very strong. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about my build, and if there are any other questions about the deck, please leave a comment. I will hopefully be doing another deck tech this weekend of hopefully a top 4 nationals list, Road to Nationals list, sorry. But we will see. My Road to Nats is coming up this Saturday. I am very excited to play, and I will make sure to make a video about my experience. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you guys at the next video. And yeah, please leave a like, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.